Hello and welcome one and all to the long-awaited Oceanic Racing League Season 6 draft. I'm your host, JMan075, as you may know me from many seasons driving in the past, and I'm very excited to introduce to you my co-host for the evening, and that is Lindsay. Lindsay, it's lovely to have you here for the draft this evening.
Yeah, g'day, J-Man. We're sizing up a great afternoon for ORL for season six.
Yeah, it's going to be some great fun. This is actually the first draft personally I've attended, despite being involved in all of them technically. I remember last season I actually forgot about the draft and I missed it. And as a result, I got a bunch of random draft picks. I'm sure you remember that because I'm pretty sure you were hosting it.
Yep.
And that was a bit of an awkward moment for me. And I think Zonix had a few choice words to say to me after that. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be doing a bit better this tonight. The league is booming at the moment, Lindsay, which is great to see. We've got a ton of new members and a lot of new faces as well that we get to talk about, which is really good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it's going to unfold tonight.
Yep. So
I,
before we kick off official proceedings, I know everyone's absolutely pumped to get underway. Lindsay, I just want to get your thoughts as we move over to the ORL Season 6 calendar. And we've got a couple new changes this season. It's once again a 14 rounder, which I think is about the perfect distance for a season. But we've also mixed in there a couple sprint rounds, and we've got a slightly different format for that, which we'll go into later, and also an endurance round. So, Lindsay, how are we feeling about the ORL calendar this season?
I think that it will provide one of the closest fights we've ever seen. Obviously, it was close last season in the championship, but I feel like it's a quite balanced calendar. There will be some tracks some people are good at, and then other tracks people aren't, which is always the case. But I think we have a wide variety of tracks. We have some high speed, some low speed, some really difficult ones, and obviously Belgium hosting the endurance round. It's already a long race as is, with the 1 minute 40 laps around Spa, and it being an 100% race just adds all the more um, the element of endurance to it. So I think that we're going to have some absolute crackers this season.
Yeah, absolutely right. I'm just getting a bit of feedback that the audio is a little bit quiet, so we'll see if I can
Can't even get it to load.
improve that a little bit. But at the moment, we've got 21 viewers, so it's a really good start. And in the meantime, we'll just have a look at the as we've got the race calendar on the screen here. The season opener is Bahrain, which is great to see. I think I'm just going to get a bit of info. Is the audio a bit better now? Just message in the chat if it is, and then we can continue. All right. So PS Bomber saying it's better. All right. So let's continue. As you can see, the calendar there. And we've also got a full qualification event in the final race of the season, which I forgot to mention. It's been heavily requested. And we've finally answered all your prayers. So we have a full qualification event in ORL this season, and it should be good fun. And we'll move on now to the business end and what we're all here for, and that's we'll look at the team principal list. And Lindsay, what are your thoughts on our team principal list for the season? We've got a few returning faces, a few new ones. What are we hoping to see from a few of these guys?
I think that this season we're probably going to have the most consistently active team principals, and I think we're going to see a lot more drivers having better preparation from the team principals, and it should create a good, wholesome environment between all of the teams. Obviously, last season we had a few TPs that were just there or thereabouts, but I think we have a really active team this season for the team principals.
Yeah, it's good to see. And as you mentioned, we do have a few newbies. So we've got PS Bomber, who's first time team principal. He's leading McLaren. We've got Zonix as well. He was a team principal previously, but he's returning. Senna as well was a team principal for a short period of time, but coming back. Same with Firestrike. So we've actually got a few returning TPs, and then we've got from last season, obviously yourself, Lindsay, me, Geordie Slater, MX, and Zandon. So it's going to be really good to see who comes out on top this season. Obviously, Lindsay, your team was able to take the overall Constructors' Championship, which I'm sure you're pumped about. But now we work on Season 6 and who's going to take it home. Lindsay, if you were to predict anyone but yourself, who do you think is going to be the most successful team principal for the season?
Honestly, he's had the most success as a team principal, and there's a reason why. I'd have to give it to MX. He always finds a way. Always, he just manages to scam his way in there somehow. So it'd either be MX or you, I think.
Yeah, MX he's been a formidable team principal. He's been one of the mainstays of RL, so it's good to have him back for another season. And we've also got 35 live viewers, which is awesome to see. Thank you all for tuning in for this awesome event. And without further ado, we are going to kick off proceedings. So we're starting in Tier 1. We're going to go through a driver pool very quickly, and then we're going to get into the draft picks. So as you can see here on your screen, Fat Ferret, who won the first preseason or the most recent preseason race, Abyss OCE, new driver in the league, and you've got Martin Apokic, Lindsay Dickey, and SVYT and Geordie Slater headline this field alongside Senna as well. So they're sort of the top end drivers. We've also got a bunch of new faces there as well. Lindsay, what do you make of this new Tier 1 driver pool? It's quite vastly different to what we saw last season.
Yeah, as you say, very different. Normally, we just have a few quick drivers up the top. Now we have at least a solid list of 10 who are going to be in the fight every single week. This is going to line up to be the best season of Tier 1 we've ever seen. Obviously, Season 1, I'd say, was probably the highlight of Tier 1 previously, and it kind of never went up from there. But now I think we're going to have both tiers really, really close, and I think Tier 1, this is going to be a battle that we haven't seen there before.
Yeah, so enough foreplay. Let's get into the action. We do have 5 team principals with us tonight, which is Lindsay, myself, Senna, PS Bomber, and Firestrike. Unfortunately, the man with the first draft pick, which is MX, is unable to make it tonight. So, Lindsay, I am going to hand it over to you to announce the number 1 pick for the ORL draft this season. So, without further ado, take us away.
Yeah, so MX sent me a big list of people he wanted, and for Tier 1, he had his number 1 draft pick as Martin. So obviously, he had him as a driver last season for a little bit, and he did well. And MX thought process was that he's seen him on heaps of the leaderboards for time trial, and he's seen that he's quick, so he's taken him as his number 1 pick to kick off the draft.
Yeah, what a great pick that is as well. Martin, as we know, he's a tried and tested driver. So that's a very good pick to kick us off this evening. And not too many surprises there either. Obviously, has a history with Martin as his driver. And with the number 1 pick, that is a very good selection. And I'm sure he'll be very consistent, as he was last season in Tier 1. He only joined towards the end of the season, but in that period of time, he was a very formidable driver. So, Martin is the number 1 pick of the draft. The second pick goes to V-Carb, which is Zonix. And this driver will be pairing up with Zonix because he has moved up to Tier 1 this season. So, without further ado, I do have his second pick. Once I get it up quickly, he did send me a list as well. And I don't think there's too many surprises about this one either. This man has been dominating throughout the preseason, lining up the timing screens. And the second pick in Tier 1 for this season is going to be Abyss OCE. And that is his second pick done. Lindsay, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, he was my first pick, so I'm a bit bummed out but I kind of expected it. That's why I have such a big list. He's definitely going to be punching high. He's going to be one of the contenders, and yeah, he will be quite the opponent to go against for all of these drivers up and down the grid. And I think it creates an interesting element being in that V carb compared to some of the other teams. V carb hasn't seen the most success, obviously. Alpha Tauri, as they were in previous seasons, never really did too well. So hopefully this is a new leaf for them that they're going to turn. And just quickly on and off note, Jamin MX is now in the BC, so he'll be reading out his next picks.
All right, that's awesome to see. And so Abyss OCE and Zonix is the first confirmed driver lineup for Tier 1. And personally, that is a pretty scary prospect because Abyss OCE, we know how dangerous he is. And Zonix, with setting the record last season for most race wins in a single season in Tier 2. So it's going to be a step up for him, but we know how good Zonix is. So that is going to be a really good championship contender, I think. And yes, that's great to see. Abyss is the second pick now. We go to the reigning constructors champions of IRL, the Mercedes team that is led by none other than my co-host Lindsay. And I'm sure you've thought long and hard about who you want to take with your third pick. So without further ado, who are you going to select?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a choice. I'm still a bit tentative about who I'm going to choose next. I have a big list, but I'm going to go with my gut, which is to go with Big Munry. I've seen him plenty of other times be pacey in preseason in other leagues, and I can't wait to see him driving for me this season. It's going to be interesting to see how he shapes up, but he's definitely going to be very high up there.
Yeah, it's a very good pick, Big Manry. We've seen some great signs from him early on. He's a new driver to the league as well. So two new drivers going in the top three, which is great to see. Some new, fresh, pacey and speedy drivers coming through the ranks. And yeah, so that'll be awesome to see how Big Manry can do in that Mercedes. And obviously, you've still got another pick to go. So that is going to be very interesting to see who you decide to partner him up with. And now, pick number 4. This is going to be a big pick. Obviously, the top 3 we knew were likely going to be selected in that order or around that. But now for the 4th pick is going to be a crucial one. And we're going to hand over to the new TP of Haas, and that is Firestrike. So why don't you give us your 4th pick in the Tier 1 draft?
For my 4th pick, I'm going to take Fat Ferret.
Fat Ferret.
He's been doing really well. Obviously, won the first preseason race, so happy with that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic pick right there. Fat Ferret. He was in Tier 1 last season. Only did a couple races, but he's been really looking good on this game so far. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, it's a good pick. I mean, there was the chance for him to go under the radar even after his winning Qatar just because he was new, but I kind of knew that he was going to go high. And yeah, it's a great pick there from Firestrike, and he will be another one that will be fighting up the front.
Yep. So Fat Ferret with the 4th pick, and now we're going to start getting the picks rolling here because we do have these TPs in the voice channel with us. Pick 5 Williams Senna, who is the new team principal of Williams. You've got a few decisions to make. Maybe a couple drivers that you wanted might have already been knocked off your list by the TPs in front. So let's see what you've got for pick number 5.
Pick 5 is going to be Apokic.
Yep, there we go. Apokic, that is one I was expecting to see go off the board quite quickly. Honestly, I thought he was going to go a little bit higher, but that's a very, very good pick there from you, Senna. And Lindsay, what do you make of Apokic? Obviously, he has driven in the league for quite a bit of time now.
Yeah, I mean, Apokic's always quick, but I nearly went for him. He was one of those drivers where I was saying maybe I could have gone for him, but I feel like he's a gamble. He's normally there, like up there at the top when he's driving, but the question is, when is he driving?
Yeah, it's a good
Because he's always
question.
quite inconsistent.
And that is the second lineup of Tier 1 confirmed. And gee, that looks like a scary lineup. Apokic and Senna in Tier 1. And I think that's going to make a lot of drivers nervous. Those Williams cars might be fronting up towards the front of the field most weekends. So, yeah, that's a great pick there. And we'll move on to pick number 6, McLaren and PS Bomber. And you've got a lot of decisions, a lot of options here. What are you going to go with?
I'm gonna choose someone who's new to the league. I'm gonna choose Clammy Kid.
Clammy Kid, and that is A very interesting pick. I do not know much about Clemmy Kid personally, but he does look like he's got plenty of pace. Lindsay, have you able to elaborate at all?
Not really. I've never heard the name before outside of the draft pool, so yeah, it's a bit of an unknown, but PS Bombers seems confident, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, that is sure to be an interesting pick. Obviously, PS Bomber will be coming back to us shortly with the 15th pick, but that's the first 6 picks knocked off. And now it is time for my pick number 7. And that is for the Aston Martin team, who we were able to win the Tier 2 Constructors' Championship last season, which I was very pumped about. But now we've got to find a Tier 1 lineup, and I'm going to take what some would say is a pretty big gamble for this pick. And but I know that this driver was proven in F1 23 to be fantastic, really fast, and I think it's an absolute steal at number 7. So I am going to take SVYT with my number 7 draft pick.
Yeah, and I could have seen it coming a mile away. Obviously, we were speaking about it just before we started this all up. He was the driver where, just as you called out my pick, I was like, do I go for him? And I don't know. We'll see if I will regret it or if I won't. But yeah, it's a steal of a pick at pick number 7. He should have gone higher. Obviously, OFI driver from last game. He's never going to be slow coming into this game, so it is going to be definitely a driver to watch, and I am excited to see how he goes in that Aston Martin. It'll be a good thing to see him do well.
Yeah, and now it's going to get a little bit complicated from here because I think the top 7 were relatively obvious selections. They were very quick drivers from the previous game and from this game so far. But now we get into that mid pack. There's a lot of new drivers in there, a lot of unknown variables. So it's going to be Geordie Slater with pick number 8. And he is already driving, so his second pick's been taken up by that. And unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, but he has sent through his list. And based on that, Geordie Slater's pick, the 8th pick in the draft. Alpine are going to select Taipan TJ, which is a huge pick.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I was hoping he was going to go under the radar. I really, really was. He was someone I knew he was going to get picked before my next pick, but I was really hoping he'd fly under the radar. But the second you said Geordie's name, I found it quite obvious because obviously Geordie and Taipan know each other in real life. They kart together, and yeah, I think it was kind of the no brainer for him.
Yep, and Taipan TJ, Tier 2 driver last season, showed an absolute ton of potential, and it's great to see that he's up in Tier 1 now and he's looking really strong. So that's fantastic to see that he's now come off the board. And we're going to move over to pick 9, which is Zandon, who is currently typing to me what the pick is going to be. But while we wait for Zandon to make his pick, what do we make of what we've seen so far from the opening 8 picks?
Yeah, it's going to be a really close one. That's all this is screaming to me. There's still good drivers left on that board, and it really shows the caliber of driver we're looking at. Obviously, there's quite a few more that are still not picked, and going into that back stretch, obviously, people with the higher picks, such as myself, will be hoping there are some left over, which I'm sure there will be because yeah, it's such a close grid. Obviously, so many quick guys, even people you haven't even considered on this list probably will be
Yep.
fighting up there, and I am really excited to see how these last couple of picks go, and then how the season itself goes once we get underway.
Yep, and now the pick is in for pick number 9, Zandon for the Red Bull. And he has picked a driver that raced for Red Bull last season, returning to the team. And he did look pretty pacey last season, but I tell you what, he's looking even better now, and that is Glob Drip, who is confirmed to the Red Bull team as their first pick for the evening.
That's a steal. That is a really good pick. Globdrip is looking very, very quick. He is someone that definitely was always going to fly outside of the radar, obviously, except for probably Zandon there, who has now picked him. He is actually scarily quick at some tracks that I've seen him do. And obviously, if he's quick at a few tracks, he's going to be quick at quite a lot of them. And I'm excited to see how his season ends up developing as we get underway here.
Yep, you're exactly right. And now it's the double up. So Dead Heat with the Sauber team principal. Obviously, we've got a snake format for the draft in Tier 1. So he's going to have back-to-back picks, pick 10 and pick 11. And unfortunately, is not able to join us this evening, but he has sent through his preferred driver list. And I can tell you with the 10th pick in the Tier 1 draft, Sauber have selected Goated at F1 to join their team.
That's an interesting one because Goated has shown great potential in seasons gone by, but he's also shown quite the opposite at some races. So it's a bit inconsistent what we've seen from him so far, but can he swing the other way and become more consistent up and down the grid? I think is the question a lot of us will be asking going into this season, but it is a good pick.
Yeah, it's Goated F1. He did drive for my team, Aston Martin, in the back end of last season. And he was a bit up and down, but his pace has always been there. So all it takes is a bit of consistency, and Goated F1 is definitely going to be a really dangerous driver in this league. And now for the second of the double up to join Goated at F1 with the 11th pick for Dead Heat's Sauber team is Nuke OCE, a returning driver from Season 1 of RRL for the first time in a long time, which is great to see him back in the league.
Yeah, it's a good pick. He was one of the people on my list I was hoping he'd go under the radar as a returning driver all the way back from our days, our glory days, when you won your title and I was runner up, and it'll be interesting to see how one of the other people who has been here since the start, who is returning, will find himself now 6 seasons later and nearly 2 years later.
Yeah, so Nuke OCE, a very warm welcome back to ORL. Going to be great to see him out on track this season. And as you can see, that pool, it's dwindling. The numbers are going down quickly. The options are running out. There's a few picks left. Obviously, not everyone is going to get a chance to be picked tonight. But what I do say to those drivers is don't give up, because if you do want to drive, you are going to drive this season. There's going to be seats available to reserve. And if you drive well enough, there's a more than likely chance you will get signed. So please don't be disheartened if you do not get drafted, and just keep going. You will get a chance. But in the meantime, we will move to the 12th pick of the draft, and that is Zandon's Red Bull team. And he has decided to go with a Tier 2 driver who's made their way up to Tier 1 this season, and a fantastic driver at that. It's Apex Stig.
That is a really good pick, and yeah, I'm actually a bit gutted about that one because he was one of the ones remaining on my list, but he was always going to get drafted. He has been lightning quick coming through the end of last season, through the tail end. We saw some brilliant battles with him. He's displayed good racecraft, good pace, and it's only been up for him from there. And now going into season 6, he has a big focus on being quick this game and doing well in ORL this game. I know he wants to hunt for his first Tier 1 win on this game and in this season, and I can't wait to see what he is capable of coming into this season.
Yeah, exactly right. And that confirms the Red Bull driver lineup of Globdrip and Apex Stig. I'm sure they are definitely going to fly under the radar as a very dangerous duo this season. And that is going to be good to see. And now, pick 13, Alpine, Geordie Slater, obviously is going to pick himself the 2 times reigning Tier 1 champion. He's won it back-to-back. Can he get the three-peat this season?
I think that is the question that will be asked all season. He has a lot more competition this season. He has to stay a lot more consistent. He won't be able to bail out early like he did last season. It's going to be one to go to the very end. Obviously, we have all of these drivers that have been being signed all season. We saw through this preseason and now into this draft, and now he has to fight them wheel to wheel on track. All of those people that have been picked already, all of those people that will be picked, they will all be fighting him. He is quick. He will always be quick, but will someone be able to topple him? It's like the famous F1 2011 title screen about Sebastian Vettel, how it would always say every year, can he be stopped? Yeah, well, the question is, can someone stop Geordie Slater?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And now we move on to Aston Martin, which is my second pick. And there's still a lot of great options on this board, if I'm being completely honest. A lot of great drivers that I've seen here that have proven themselves. But I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go with an unproven commodity, but based on their time trial time and their time trial only, I am going to pick Tata with my 14th pick of the draft.
Yeah, I didn't even see their time trial time, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, they'll be one to watch if you've picked them. They've obviously shown some potential, and yeah, we'll have to see how they go.
I've also I've gone with a bit of symmetry between my two teammates. They've both got four-letter all capital names, so we'll see how that turns out. But that's the Aston Martin lineup confirmed: SVYT and Tata. And now we're going to move back to PS Bomber and the McLaren team. Clammy Kid's your first driver. Who is going to be partnering him?
Another new driver. I'm gonna go for ZX.
ZDex, a great pick there. And I'm surprised he went this late actually, because there's been a lot of hype surrounding ZDex from what I've seen. And yeah, he looks like he's going to be a very threatening driver this season.
Yeah, and I actually just got a recommendation from a driver who pinged me saying, "Do you want help?" And I said, "No, not really." But he said you should pick ZX if he makes it all the way down. And yeah, I can't wait to see how he goes. He is looking quick.
Yeah, so that's a great pick. And we move on to Williams pick 16. Senna obviously drafting himself, and we know how dangerous Senna is, Lindsay. Just what can we expect from him this season?
A title fight. Um, like absolutely no way there's not a title fight opportunity for Senna. Geordie obviously actually last season went for that title specifically because of Senna. Geordie saw something that Senna said, saying he hopes he doesn't win the title, and Geordie took that one personally. Then Senna came back swinging later on in the season, and now I think we'll see a full season scrap between the two of them.
Had to make a late change. I'm going to take Aiden.
Aiden, and that is also a great selection by their Fire Strike Lindsay. What do we think about Aiden as a driver?
Yeah, he's quick. I think he'll show some great potential going into this season. And he's another person who has gone under the radar, and I'm surprised he went as late as he has, but obviously being new, it was always going to happen, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, exactly, and that confirms that Haas lineup, which is looking very good as well. I gotta say, a lot of these driver lineups just look really solid. All the way down, even at pick 17, we've still got a lot of great drivers left on the board. And Lindsay, it is now your second pick down at pick 18. You've got a few drivers left to choose from. Who is it going to be?
And as I found it last season, another driver has gone under the radar. We saw him in preseason, Grateful Dog. He did well all through preseason. He's shown good pace, and somehow I've managed to snag him at pick 18. I am absolutely delighted to have him.
That's a fantastic point there. A great pick as well. I personally am very surprised that he slid that far as well. Obviously, I did pass on him for a different pick. But that is a very good lineup there. Big Mannery and Grateful Dog, Lindsay. How do you think that's going to perform as a team?
I'm not sure how Munry and Grateful Dog are going to go as a pairing, but if it is going to go how I think it is, we're going to be fighting well up the top. I'm not sure if we're going to be quite gunning for the win of the constructors. That's obviously what has to be seen from Munry and Grateful to how fast they're going to end up being over the course of a season's distance. But I think we're going to be shooting high, and I can't wait to see how it happens.
Yep, And so that's a very good Mercedes lineup, and the V-Carb lineup will be completed by Zonix, obviously drafting himself as well. And Zonix, the reigning Tier 2 champion, making the step up to Tier 1. What do we think about that?
He's gonna be under pressure here. I think
I'm going to be cooking. Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Welcome to the chat.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for him. He was lightning quick last season. There was no way he wasn't going to get moved up. So we'll have to see how he fares against the Tier 1 guys now.
Thank you.
And just quickly, as a side note, before we go into the Tier 2 pool in a few minutes, Jaden Squires wants to be put into the full-time pool for Tier 2.
We can't change the pool this late, but he definitely will be moved into it in the future. But we're going to move now to the final pick of Tier 1 before we move to Tier 2. And MX, who has been able to grace us with his presence. MX, good to have you. 20th pick. You've got Martin with pick 1. Who's going to join Martin at Ferrari?
All right, now I'm not sure why he's still on the board, but judging by last season, he did finish P2 in basically every race, and I don't think Lindsay saw this coming, but I'll be taking the imposter Lindsay Dickel.
Yep, and there it is, the final pick of the draft, Lindsay Dickey and Martin to finish out the Ferrari lineup. That is a scary looking lineup as well, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quick lineup. The question is how long it will last. I think that's the reason I avoided him. That's the reason everybody else went around him. But MX has taken the gamble, and I respect it. I really do.
Yep, and I think he had to get picked at some point. Did Lindsay Dickey, and the final pick of the draft. And those are your lineups for Tier 1. We got Martin and Lindsay Dickey for Ferrari, Abyss and Zonix for V-Carb, Manry and Grateful Dog for Mercedes, Ferret and Aiden for Haas, Apokic and Senna for Williams, Clammy and Zed Dex for McLaren, SVYT and Tata for Aston, Taipan and Geordie for Alpine, Globdrip and Apex Stig for Red Bull, Goated F1 and Nuke OCE for Sauber. I'm not sure about you, but I don't see any weak lineups out anywhere, to be honest, out of those 10. What do you think?
There isn't one at all, and it's going to be a full-out scrap this season, and I genuinely can't wait to see it. I have a grin on my my face all the time when thinking about Tier 1, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, so that is Tier 1 complete, and that is going to be an awesome season, is Tier 1. I can't wait to watch it get underway, 5 p.m. AEST time, and that'll start in 2 weeks' time along with Tier 2. And now we're going to move along to a nice, fresh draft pool with drivers filled in Tier 2. We've got a few more in this tier than we do in Tier 1, so unfortunately that does mean a few more are going to miss out, but it also means a lot of options for the team principals. And a new team principal has the opening pick for Tier 2, and that is PS Bomber. I'm sure you've thought long and hard about this pick. Obviously, you're going to be driving yourself, so you've taken pick 20 with yourself. And now you got to choose who is going to be your driver, and you have anyone in the Tier 2 pool to pick from. Who's it going to be?
For my first pick, they haven't raced in a while though. But it's gonna be Sparks as my first pick.
Yep. That is an awesome pick right there from PS Bomber. Sparks, we know from history, is a really, really dangerous driver. Well, not dangerous in that way. Dangerous as in he's fast. And he's also pretty clean as well. So it'll be awesome to see Sparks back in the league once again. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on the number 1 pick of the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good pick pace-wise if he's still up to the standard he was before. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Sparks because, yeah, I mean, it's a topic for another day for me, but it's a solid pick from Bomber, and I'm excited to see how Sparks goes.
Yep, so PS Bomber and Sparks are going to be the McLaren lineup for Tier 2, which is great to see. We've got 14 principals participating in Tier 2, PS Bomber, myself, Dead Heat, and Fire Strike. So that is going to help things out. And now it's going to be Zandon for pick number 2 of the draft. And we'll see what he comes back with shortly. As he's typing right now. But, Lindsay, who is there to look out for in this draft pool at the moment?
A lot of people. I mean, I don't want to give away who I've been looking at, but there is a lot. We've seen a good few in the preseason. There's someone I'm really hoping I'm gonna get. I hope Zandon doesn't take him here, but yeah. And then we have the returning faces of Milan and Kizzy. Mewburn had some solid results last season. Obviously, he was a returning driver from the original seasons. Then you have Broadstar Drifts, returning drivers that have always been quick, and they're just seeing if they can take the step up from fighting at the top to winning this season, and it'll be an interesting prospect.
Yeah, exactly right. And we do have the second pick in. And Zandon has selected Kebabs with the second pick, who, frankly, I don't know a whole lot about. So that is going to be an interesting pick, but he must have plenty of pace about him if he's being taken this high in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know anything about kebabs either, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Not at
so
all.
it'll be interesting to see how Kebabs goes on track this season. A new driver to the league, and awesome to see them going nice and highly in the draft. Now, we're going to go to pick 3. Lindsay, you have pick 3 again for Tier 2 as well as Tier 1, and you've got a big decision to make. I kind of get the feeling I know where you're going to go with this one, but take us away.
You know exactly who I'm going for. I'm sure of it, and I'm so happy I got him. I thought he was gonna go sooner, but I got him. That's a big slap in the face to MX. Rapid Mickey.
Yeah, there it is. Honestly, I was expecting Mickey to go pick 1, but the reigning Constructors Champions have able to get an absolute steal at pick 3 there with Rapid Mickey. He is going to be one of the headline drivers of this Tier 2 pool this season. We know he was a Tier 2 champion from way back when in ORL Season 2. He's struggled of late, but he's showing some really promising signs, Lindsay, and I'm sure that's what you're hoping he delivers for you this season.
Yeah, and MX is very upset with me. I'll say that, but yeah, I can't wait to see Mickey in my lineup in that Mercedes this season. He has shown very much a return to form going into this game, and it is going to be one to watch for sure. And yeah, he is going to have a really strong season if he keeps up this momentum. I know he was one to watch for everybody, and yeah, I really, really can't wait. It's shades of last season for me, getting a steal that should have gone pick 1 and pick 3, and I'm hoping I continue that with my second pick as well. I got the dream lineup that I wanted in Tier 2 last season. I don't think it will go quite that well this time around, as everybody is so much more known this season, but there is so many drivers that can still be picked. So even though I got the driver I wanted in Mickey, there are so many others who will take the fight to him anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. So Mickey goes pick number 3. Now we're going to go to MX with Ferrari for pick number 4. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with this pick, but why don't you take us away, MX?
I'll be bringing drifts back to Ferrari.
Yep, that's exactly what I anticipated. RV Drifts going to Ferrari with the 4th pick, and I'll tell you what, he's looking very good this season as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely quick. He's someone that I have in my list, but not particularly super high up. But I know he was going to go high. It's just in the scope of what I was looking for, he's not super high. But yeah, he's quick. He is going to be challenging for it.
Yeah, exactly right. So RB Drifts is the first driver for the Ferrari team, who are continuing to look stronger and stronger as this draft goes on. And now we're going to move to pick 5, V-Carb and Zonix. You have got a decision to make here. There's a lot of good drivers on this list. Zonix, who are we going to go with for the 5th pick in Tier 2?
For my 5th pick of the draft, got a lot of strong names here. This is a tough choice. Real tough choice. We got, obviously Kizzy, obviously Milan. But I think, obviously, probably should have been number 1 pick in my opinion. Absolute steal getting him. The GOAT, Tier 1 race winner, Spicy. As my pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the pick we all saw coming, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't going to go pick one just for previous seasons, but he was always going to go higher with the evaluation he did, and I kind of
Yeah,
saw it coming from
definitely
Sonics.
cooking. He's
Yeah,
definitely cooking.
he's definitely going to be one to watch because he's either going to take that step up like we saw from his eval, or he's just going to have one or two really good tracks and then go from there. But that is what's so exciting
I'm
about a
gonna
new season
train.
and a new game.
Me and Spicy, we're gonna do training sessions every week.
Oh,
5 a.m.
man.
to 8 p.m. training.
Spicy's
Championship
Cool.
incoming.
Spicy's in very, very safe hands with Zonix there. And it's good to see Spicy going pick 5, another driver that's improved massively. And as Zonix did mention, he is a Tier 1 race winner. We can't forget that. And that was an awesome moment. So now I'm going to move to Aston Martin pick 6, which is my final pick of the evening. And obviously, it's always a very difficult pick when you're trying to choose your teammate. And you've got to think not just about pace, but the driver that's going to be the best teammate, who's going to be consistent and get the best possible points for you. And for that reasoning alone, I'm going to go with a driver that I've personally absolutely loved watching over multiple seasons of RL and across other leagues as well. I think a great driver, plenty of potential, and already shown some great results already. I'm going to go with Broadstar for my 6th pick in the draft.
Oh, that is not who I expected coming from you at all, but it is a solid pick from you there. He's absolutely rapid. He's really good in the racecraft area as well. Obviously, we saw Spain Tier 1 last season, was up there with the best against SV and myself. And yeah, it is going to be one to watch from him this season in Tier 2. Obviously, with you as his teammate, there's not really a lot that can go wrong. Mr. Consistent, the Tier 1 championship winner from Season 1. And then a new, well, he's not a new face, but a new face to the top, I'd say.
Yep, exactly right. So Broadstar joins the Aston team with myself to round out that lineup and Aston Martin's draft for the evening. And now we are going to go over to the Williams team and Senna. This is a big pick for Tier 2 here. Obviously, still plenty of great names left on the board. Senna, who are we going to go with here?
I'm surprised no one's bothered to go for this pick. He's won a race in the past, and I want to see him get more wins. I'm gonna go with Milan.
Yep, there it is, Milan. A long-time
See,
RL mainstay, would you say, Lindsay?
he's a mainstay, and he's who I thought you were going for. You have a great relationship with Milan, but I obviously know why you didn't. But I definitely thought that's who you were picking, so I knew he was going to come in the pick after you or the next one after that, and Senna's got him, and I can't wait to see how he does this season. So yeah, a good pick there from Senna.
Yeah, Milan's been in the league for a long, long time, and he's always been consistent with his results, and he has great pace as well. So that's a great pick. He has won a race, and hopefully we'll see him right up there winning a few more. And that Williams team is starting to look very, very dangerous. So we'll see how that eventuates. Now we are going to go to the Alpine team of Geordie, and we are going to see he has sent through his picks. Although worryingly, I think, oh no, he does have one driver that is still on the list, but for his next pick, he might be in trouble. And for the 8th pick for the Alpine team, it's going to be someone who's pretty closely related to Milan, and that is not Kizzy.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that coming. It's quite the obvious one, isn't it? Uh, they're always seeming to go back to back. Kizzy and Milan, they're very similar pace, so it was one or the other that were going to go next to each other, but they're always going to be back to back in the picks. So yeah, Kizzy sneaking all the way down there. If he stays consistently attending during this season, he'll be one to watch, like always.
Yeah, exactly right. And that Alpine team is starting to look pretty good as well. And we're going to go to the 9th pick, which is for Team Sauber and Dead Heat. And I believe he has sent through his pick as well. I will now have a look at it. And it's going to be a new driver in this league. Actually, funnily enough, both Geordie and Dead Heat had PS Bomber on their list, which is pretty funny because he's a team principal. So I don't know how that works, but he has gone with Camillo for his 9th pick in the draft, a new driver.
I don't know a lot about Camillo. I think they're alright. I think they're pretty quick. Obviously, being picked by Dead Heat. Dead Heat's no slouch, and he does his research when he goes for his picks, except for probably when he thought he could pick Bomber, even though he's a TP. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be a solid pick.
Yep, so that is good to see. We're almost halfway down, so Camillo and Dead Heat are going to be your Tier 2 lineup for Sauber. And now, Firestrike, we welcome you back once again. You are driving in Tier 2 this season. Who have you chosen to pair up with you for Tier 2?
Yeah, so I had 5 picks with like 4 backups, and they've all been chosen. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Raven.
Raven, a new driver as well.
Yep.
A driver that I haven't seen much of personally, but I'm sure is going to be a fantastic driver this season. Lindsay, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, see, I'm not sure because I saw a lot of support backing him in the preseason race around Qatar, and then he proceeded to get lapped. So I'm not sure. He's either going to be quick or he's not going to be. So I think he's going to be one to watch.
Yep, so we'll see what Raven can do. So we're now in the back end of the draft here, almost done. And unless Geordie miraculously gets to me in the next couple seconds, he's gonna have to. We're gonna have to do a wheel spin for his second driver. Unfortunately, I think all of them are gone, and yes, they are. So we're gonna get the magic wheel up. So just bear with me 1 second, because I did have a wheel ready just for this scenario, Lindsay. If you can believe that.
I definitely can believe that. You're a very organized person. I just hope the wheel spin doesn't land on one of the 3 remaining people I have left on my list.
Yeah, let's see if I can actually get this to work. There we go. I've done it. So, all the drivers that are remaining are on this board. Hopefully I haven't accidentally forgotten to remove one. But we're going to spin the wheel for Geordie's second driver, which I'm sure he's not going to be overly happy about. Who's it going to land on? It's going to be DC Marvel to be Geordie's pick. And that sound is very loud and annoying, so I'm just going to tell him to shut up. But DC Marvel, a new driver in the league as well. Lindsay, what do we make of that pick?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember seeing DC Marvel race. I see them in the general chat right now, but they seem quite surprised they got a seat. So Geordie could be in some trouble here.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens. So DC Marvel driving for Alpine with not Kizzy. We'll see how that ends up. And looking like a pretty good lineup as well. All these drivers on the list can drive, so I don't think you'll be upset really with anyone. And now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to go back to Senna, who is going to pick a driver to join his first pick in Milan. Senna, who are we going with?
Well, there are some very good picks. Fortunately, 3 of them are still here. I'm going to pick Melbourne Mac.
Oh, damn it.
Yes. There it is. And we know Melbourne Mac very well. Former vice president of ORL, has been driving for a long, long time. Former team principal as well. Lindsay, you sounded very frustrated when you heard that pick. What are we thinking there?
He's a great pick. He definitely went under the radar. He sent me a DM the other day to put me on his radar, but he already was. And he was slowly slipping down. I figured someone would get him, and I figured it would be someone who has done their research like Senna, but I was just had my fingers crossed there. I still have a few picks left on my board, but definitely a bit gutted to see him go.
Yep, so now we move to the final 4 picks of the draft. I'm sure a few people still watching, hoping that they get picked here late on. And we're now going to pass it back over to Zonix and VCarb, who pick Spicy with his first pick, and who's it going to be to pair up with him?
Yeah. Got a tough choice. I've got two names that I've really been debating on whether or not to pick. But the driver that I've chosen is I've seen him do a couple races and he looks quick. So I think I'm gonna be taking ORL veteran H. Muban.
God
Yeah,
damn it,
that's
man!
a great pick. That is a ripper.
God damn it!
And
And
yeah,
if you're watching this,
Ah,
Guga, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, you were rated highly for me, but
Zonix, you're
I
an
wish
evil
you
man.
luck.
I am.
Zonix, you're an evil
That's what
man.
you get for stealing Mickey. That's what you get for stealing Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Personally, I am shocked that H. Muben went that far. For me, it was either going to be Broadstar or H. Muben with my sixth pick. So to see that he's slid that far down to V Carb, that is a very good tier 2 lineup. Lindsay, I'm not sure what you think about that. Obviously, you sounded very
I'm
frustrated
gutted.
with that one as well.
I'm gutted. That was gonna be such a steal if Zonix didn't get him there. So yeah, no, that's a great pick. That's a great shout from Zonix there, and Zonix, yeah, his lineup's scary.
Yeah, so V Carb's looking very good this season. There's still a few drivers on there that I would have expected to be off the board already, but we'll see what MX has in store for us. He always has something in store for us. Pick 17, MX, what have we got?
So I'm not really too sure who to take, but I'll take a chance and take Webbo.
Webbo. And that is also one of the drivers that I've seen improve significantly across the previous season of ORL. Came in towards the back end of Tier 2, but he has slowly started to climb up, and maybe F124 could be the game where he starts to rise up and get some more good finishes.
Yeah, he's been a bit up and down, I think. He either has a really good race or a not so good one. So he's an interesting pick. And he'll definitely be one you've really got to keep an eye on, and MX will definitely be keeping an eye on him. And also J-Man, just to go back to Dead Heat in, I believe it's the Sauber he's in, he's a tier 2 driver, so he didn't need his 10th pick.
Yeah, no, 10th pick was for the Tier 1, is what I meant.
No, you were talking, I might have misheard, but I
It's
thought
okay.
you, nah, okay.
Yep. So yeah, Webbo, great pick for Ferrari. We got 3 picks to go, or 2 picks technically left because McLaren's already picked PS Bomber, and it's going to be Lindsay for the last time this evening. I'm sure you've got something up your sleeve. I know you had a couple picks taken away from you, but I'm going to hand it back over to you to take the 18th pick.
Yeah, so it was between H Mewburn and this person, and Mewburn got taken. MX has just sent me a message saying he was going to take this guy, and then he went with Webbo, SNF Wolf. He has been mighty quick in the past, and he's definitely gone under the radar here. He is a steal of a pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, SNF
Friends in the
Wolf.
Mercedes.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Mickey and SNF Wolf round out that Mercedes lineup. That's very formidable as well. And that's Mercedes all done for the evening. They've had a very strong showing in the draft as well. And we're going to move on to the final pick, which is Zandon and Red Bull. So we'll see what Zandon has in store for us with the final pick. And he has sent it through now. And there's a couple drivers on this list that are very stiff to miss out. And I think they should definitely keep pushing and reserving in Tier 2 because I think once they start racing, they're going to get picked up very quickly. But the final pick of the draft this evening, Zandon has selected Miniman as his final pick.
It's a good shout. It is a good shout. It is a good pick. He wasn't on my list, but he was very close to making it. He's a solid pick, and I'm surprised he did drop to P20.
Yep, so Miniman rounds out the draft, and then PS Bomber obviously rounds us out for the evening. And a lot of drivers on here, I think, very unfortunate to miss out. Royal Duck, I think, is very stiff because I saw some great results from him over the season. Guga, I've heard some great things about. F1 Banks, who's raced last season, and all the other ones, all new as well, and have shown plenty of pace. But I think once we see these drivers in action that have missed out, I think they're going to prove a few team principals wrong and make their way onto some lineups pretty early on throughout the season, Lindsay.
Yeah, and by the way, I just have one more comment to make about my lineup. I didn't quite get in because I let you move on. But I've had Mickey and SNF Wolf as a pair up before, not in ORL, but to go back in time a bit to our old partner, OPSL. I had them as a lineup together before, so I think they're going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, so that's the draft all wrapped up. And we've got the lineups confirmed, and gee, don't they look good? We'll just run through the Tier 2 lineups quickly for all of you. So McLaren are lining up with Sparks and PS Bomber, Red Bull, Kebabs and Miniman, Mercedes, Mickey and Wolf, Ferrari, Drifts and Webbo, V-Carb, Spicy and Mewburn, Aston Martin, Broadstar and J-Man, Williams, Milan and Melbourne Mac, Alpine, Kizzy and Marvel Fan, Sauber, Camillo and Dead Heat, and finally Haas, Raven and Firestrike. What a great draft we've seen tonight, and it's just so many good drivers this season. I think it's easily the strongest field we've ever had. Lindsay, what are your takeaways from what we've seen and from the picks tonight?
My biggest takeaway is the fact that this season is looking scary. So many quick lineups. I genuinely think in both tiers, all 10 lineups could all be fighting for the win every single week. So it is a scary season. Looking forward, we had our closest season ever in season 5, and this season, as a prospect with our new drivers and returning, it's looking like it could end up even closer than last time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's been an awesome draft. Thank you so much. Also, I haven't really mentioned to you guys too much, but everyone that's watched the stream tonight, we've had about 30 live viewers across the majority of the stream tonight. We've still got 20 with us at the end. So thank you all so much for tuning in. It's awesome to see the interest and excitement that's surrounding this season of ORL, and I hope it lives up to the hype, and I'm sure it will, because we've always get great races in Tier 1 and Tier 2. And yeah, it's going to be better than ever. It's going to be an awesome season. And it's all thanks to everyone that joins the streams, watches them, gives us support. That's why we all do it. And it's awesome to see everyone volunteering with the admin team, the stewards, even social media stuff. And everyone deserves great credit for that. But if you are driving this season, best of luck to you all. I know F1 has its challenges, and the game, whether it fixes or it doesn't, we're just going to have to work through it. And yeah, it's just awesome to see all the new faces. Had great conversations with many of you already. And Lindsay, I'm going to leave it the final word to you for tonight. What are our final thoughts for the evening?
My final thought is watch out. Every single team, this isn't directed from me as Mercedes TP. This is just across the board. Watch out. It's just going to be a battle of who finishes up the top most consistent. This is looking to be the closest season we're ever going to have.
Yep, exactly right. And thank you all very much for tuning in tonight. I am sick of speaking. I know I don't sound like it, but it's good to have everyone along, and I really enjoyed that draft. But what's going to be even better is the season start. 2 weeks time, June 30th. Mark it in the calendar. We've got Tier 2 at 2:30 p.m. and Tier 1 at 5 p.m. AEST. Be there. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to hear Lindsay commentating. You're going to hear some great other commentary voices as well that we might not have heard before. And we're going to see some great quality of driving as well. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you around the ORL server. If you're watching and you haven't joined, seriously consider joining. Make sure you get the Discord link, which I believe is in our YouTube bio or our TikTok bio, one of the two. But that's all from us tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon. And that's all from us at ORL on the draft night. Thank you.